Hi everybody and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
And of course, last year in September, you couldn't have missed this big world news. Queen Elizabeth II passed away. Finally, after...
Finally?
Well, it did seem she was going to rule forever. 70 odd years of it.
It just sounds like you were waiting for it.
I think everybody in the UK knew it was going to come because Philip had passed away and then she was old and...
Yeah, she was just 96, wasn't she?
Everybody's prepared for it. And I'm sure all the newspapers had kind of written the story so that they could publish it as soon as possible. So
exactly.
We didn't know exactly when, but everybody knew, okay, sometime in the next couple of years, it's going to happen. So we'll discuss that news story. So I'm from the UK and I've grown up with the Queen and the idea of kings and queens as part of our history. You from the States have got a very different take on what do you think of the idea of kings and queens?
I mean, part of our history, but our long ago history, like the US declared independence from a king, from King George. And so, since then, it's been like we've watched the kings and queens of different countries, especially the UK and maybe Japan, from afar, from like a long way away. To us, they're not part of our daily life. There's just kind of like another celebrity to look at.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who likes stories about sort of kings, queens and fantasy, it seems almost a natural thing to have. They don't do anything in terms of ruling the country.
They don't do anything.
Although, to be fair, for UK tourism, it's a pretty massive thing. I'm sure it does bring in quite a lot of tourist money.
Yeah, but is that all? Like, you could have other things that bring in tourist money instead.
If we lost the monarchy, I don't know. Generally,
Open up Buckingham Palace.
I tend to be in favor of the idea of it, but that's just me. But today we're going to look at a little bit about the life of Queen Elizabeth II and kind of how things are going to change now we have, for the first time in years and years, a king.
Yeah.
Reading.
Elizabeth II passes away after 70 years as queen. On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away. She was 96 and had ruled for 70 years, longer than any other British monarch. Her son, King Charles III, became the UK's new monarch after the Queen died. The Queen was crowned in 1952 and saw periods of great change at home and overseas. She immediately gave guidance to her people, who were still experiencing the hardships caused by World War II. She saw the British Empire end, and then the changes of the swinging 60s. She had 15 prime ministers, beginning with Winston Churchill, born in 1874. Her final prime minister, Liz Truss, was born 101 years later. The Queen ruled over 32 countries in her lifetime. Following the Queen's death, many royal symbols were changed. Although it will be costly, the money and stamps of several countries will be changed to feature the new king. The easiest change was to Britain's national anthem, switching God Save the Queen to God Save the King. Despite these changes, it's certain that Queen Elizabeth II won't be forgotten. She will live on in the hearts of the British public.
So we start off with the main news to kind of give it again. On September 8th, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away.
So to pass away is a polite way of saying she died. Yeah. And she was 96 and had ruled for 70 years, longer than any other British monarch. So yeah, as a monarch, we talked about monarchy a little bit, or kings and queens. A monarch is the noun for a person such as a king or a queen who rules a kingdom or empire. So a monarch can also be an emperor or empress, like the old Chinese emperors. The monarchy, if you're talking about the whole idea of the monarchy, is usually the whole family, and it's the king and queen's bloodline, their family line, basically their whole ruling group.
Yeah, it's almost the institution as well. So we see in the article, her son, King Charles III, as he is now, became the UK's new monarch after the Queen died.
It's still weird to hear that name.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, he is the new king. The Queen was crowned in 1952 and saw periods of great change at home and overseas. I remember her coronation was in black and white on TV.
It was the first one ever to be on TV, but it was a long time ago.
A long time ago. So she was crowned. Now, crown you might know as a noun. It's this circle made out of metal and jewels that you put on the head of a king or a queen or maybe somebody who wins a title or something. But to crown somebody is to put a crown on them and give them the title of a king or a queen. Usually we say this as they are crowned. So we can also talk about giving the title to somebody who wins something. So like if you win the Olympics, you are crowned the best skater in the world, something like that. So an example sentence for kings and queens, you could say, after her grandmother passes away, Amelia will be crowned as the queen of the country.
Okay, and we mentioned that the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, and now King Charles, they were the monarchs not just of the UK, but of overseas territories, okay? These happened overseas as well. Overseas means to or in a country across the sea. So you could also say abroad, because even though overseas, it kind of has the word seas, it could still mean another country that's connected to you or somewhere by land. Just in the UK, we tend to think of overseas because we're an island and everywhere is over the sea somewhere.
Yeah, for us, like in the US, Canada is not overseas.
Okay,
but
that's interesting.
The UK is.
Yeah, we wouldn't think of Scotland and Wales as overseas because they're connected by land.
Yeah.
Europe, Asia, America, they're all overseas.
Yeah.
So you might say, I started feeling an interest in working overseas when I was in my 20s. I wanted to travel and work in a different country.
Me too. Yeah, so in the article, we're talking about the history of Queen Elizabeth. She immediately gave guidance to her people who were still experiencing the hardships caused by World War II. World War II feels like ancient history. It feels like so long ago, but that's what she was dealing with when she was a new queen. She gave guidance to people. Let's talk more about this word guidance. When we talk about guidance, we're saying that somebody guides you. Guidance is the noun of somebody who guides. To guide means to give somebody advice or show them where to go, show them what to do, or basically kind of give them suggestions about what would be a good thing for them to do or say. So guidance in the face of World War II, after World War II, was basically the Queen saying, hey, people in the UK, I know we are having a really hard time. I'm here to help you find the path to a better life, better times, and to basically help this country recover from this war. So guidance is basically supporting and suggesting things to somebody. So for an example sentence, you could say, without my teacher's guidance, I wouldn't have discovered my love for languages. Basically, my teacher guided me to that discovery.
And the British people needed guidance and a bit of help back then because they were suffering from hardships. The
hardships?
Yes, not big, tough, strong hardships, but difficulties. This is all one word, hardships. Hardships are difficulties, they're hard times that people have to live through. Maybe not enough money, not enough food, difficulty getting jobs. The UK had been bombed during the war.
Yeah.
A lot of people had died, life was changing, and people were trying to kind of figure out, okay, what do we do now? How do we get through? How do we get the country back on its feet again? Even though Britain was on the winning side, it did suffer a great deal.
Yeah, exactly. So how did she help? She saw the British Empire end. So basically all the countries that the British Empire had ruled over, they became independent countries. And now you just have Britain. And so then, she saw the British Empire end and then the changes of the swinging 60s.
Yep.
What are the swinging 60s?
That was the 1960s in the UK. A lot of, similar to the US, a lot of changes, a lot of young people, fashion changes, people kind of moving away from the old traditional ideas of the past with new music, new ideas, more freedom, being very different. So the Queen saw all that in her time, and that also affected the people who ruled the country actually as leaders while she was on the throne. The article says she had 15 prime ministers, beginning with Winston Churchill, born in 1874.
Gosh.
So a prime minister is the leader of a government that has a king, queen, or emperor. So the US has its presidents and so on. But if you're in a country that still has a king or queen, like the Netherlands, Belgium, Japan, which still has its emperor, you don't have a president, you have a prime minister. And they are the leader of the political party that makes up the government.
And interesting that Canada also has a prime minister because they still consider Britain to be their monarchy.
Yes, they're part of the Commonwealth of Nations, so the Queen is still their head of state.
Well, the king now.
Well, the king, yes.
Yeah.
I get so used to it.
I know. Yeah, it's just a given, right? So, Winston Churchill, born in 1874. Her final prime minister, Liz Truss, was born 101 years later and didn't last that many days.
No, I think if the Queen had actually lived for like another month or two, she would have had 16 prime ministers.
Exactly.
Okay, we also see the Queen ruled over 32 countries in her lifetime. Not personally, she didn't go around making rules and orders, but those countries during her life were part of the British Empire and what is now the Commonwealth of Nations.
Exactly. Following the Queen's death, many royal symbols were changed. Yeah, because you guys have the king or queen on your money, don't you? Yeah, so you would have had to change all the symbols with the Queen's face to the new king's face. And this was following her death. Following here is a preposition that means just after. Because to follow, the verb follow means to come after. So if something is following, it means something else happened after the first thing. Following, the word always comes before the thing that happened first. So you can start a sentence with following, da-da-da-da-da, or in the middle, da-da-da-da-da, following, da-da-da-da-da. So an example sentence, you could say, everyone in school was in a great mood following their football team's big win. So after their football team won, everybody was, yay, woohoo.
Okay, so as Kat mentioned, the face of the king or queen is on our money, and there's a bunch of other stuff as well.
Really?
Yeah. Post office stamps, as we'll mention.
Oh, yeah.
Post boxes have, it's like a symbol for the Queen's symbol. So that will have to be changed to the King's symbol.
Okay.
The passports will have to be changed as well. All the new UK passports will have something different. So it's not quite as just simple as like you guys we got a new president. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen here. So the article says, although it will be costly, the money and stamps of several countries will be changed to feature the new king. Now, this doesn't happen immediately. This is actually going to take place over several years, just in the normal way that older money will be taken out of circulation and new money will be printed and put in. So they're not going to be like, okay, everyone, send your old money back. We'll put new faces on it and then take it again. You will still see Queen Elizabeth on UK stamps and money for some time before everything is fully changed, not just in the UK, but in other countries too. But of course, changes like this are costly. Let's find out what that word means. As you might be able to guess from the context of that sentence, something is costly means something is expensive. One note I will add here, don't be fooled. This word has an ly ending. So you might look at it and think, it's an adverb. A lot of adverbs have ly endings. This is not an adverb. It is an adjective that happens to have an ly ending. So use it as an adjective, not an adverb. It's costly, it's expensive. Here's an example. Getting a new room added to our house was costly, but it was definitely worth it. So we've got passports, money, stamps, post boxes changing, and there's another thing too.
Yes, the easiest change was to Britain's national anthem, switching God Save the Queen to God Save the King. National anthem, and I believe yours starts dun 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 dun. No, that's
France.
not. That's France.
That's the Marseillaise. Yeah, that's us.
And for us, that's My Country 'Tis of Thee, Sweet Land of Liberty.
Right,
Of thee I sing. That's not our national anthem, but it could be.
Yeah, yours go dun 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 dun.
That's right. And you can tell...
Star Spangled Banner?
That's right. And you can tell by all of these that we're singing the national anthem is a song that praises a particular country and is officially accepted as that country's song. Taiwan has its own national anthem. I could not sing it if you asked me to.
I probably couldn't even recognize it if I heard it.
No, I don't think I could.
I have to say, I don't like the UK's national anthem. It is so boring.
It's pretty slow.
If you listen to Italy's, Brazil's, France's, I mean, they're so exciting and uplifting. But
the US, the complaint about ours is it's too hard to sing because you get it, oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Like, it's too hard to sing at the end. And so a lot of people complain about it.
Well, there you go. But yes, the UK's national anthem has switched from God Save the Queen back to God Save the King, which of course it was when it was first written. So a switch is when something is changed from one thing to another to switch it from A to B, and we usually use it for things with generally similar characteristics, and we add the preposition to. Switch this to this. For example, let's switch the meeting time from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. or switch it from Monday to Tuesday. Actually, it's not just the title of the national anthem that changes. There are a bunch of different words in the song that change.
Really?
Yeah, because it's God Save...
More than just King?
Yeah, God Save our gracious King. Long live our noble King. God Save the King. Send him victorious. So we've got a pronoun change too. It's good. We're filming this before the World Cup in Qatar, but I'm sure that there's going to be videos of English soccer players singing the wrong words because it's such a recent change and we've been used to singing God Save the Queen for so long.
God Save the Queen.
Queen. It's going to be God Save the Queen.
God Save the Queen.
Okay.
You know. Maybe you should just change it to Queen.
Queen is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it sounds neat. So, despite these changes, it's certain that Queen Elizabeth II won't be forgotten.
Sure.
I mean, you can't even, get her name out of your mouth, so definitely not. Despite, we see this word here, it means without being prevented by something. So basically, just because she's gone doesn't mean people will forget her. So despite is used to say that even though something happens or is true, it doesn't mean that it's prevented from happening. So there might be something else that stops this, but it doesn't stop it. So, her death doesn't stop people from remembering her.
Exactly. Now let's check out today's language in focus. So our language in focus today looks at the sentence pattern it, followed by a be verb, followed by an adjective, followed by a that clause. This sentence pattern is used to give more importance to the adjective. We could say, Queen Elizabeth will certainly not be forgotten, but we want to make the certain or certainly bit stronger. We want to emphasize it. So we change the order of the words. It is certain that she won't be forgotten. We're really focusing on the word certain. Now, for this kind of sentence, we need to use the word it as a dummy pronoun. It doesn't actually refer to a thing or a person in particular. We just need it to make the sentence make sense. Here's another example of that kind of sentence. It's strange that Frank is late today. He's always on time. So yes, the queen is dead. Long live the king, and she will live on. People will definitely not forget her.
Exactly. And the article says she will live on in the hearts of the British public. So to live on means not actually continue like living, like she's not alive anymore, but her memory and her legacy and the importance that she had to people will continue to exist. So usually we say this about people who, have gone away or are dead. We say that they will live on in our memories, they will live on in our hearts. They will keep being important to us until nobody is left to remember them.
That's right. Well, that is the end of our article, so let's move now to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So our chat question is, what do you know about Queen Elizabeth II? And the answer is, I know plenty.
Yeah, you know a lot.
British, I've got history knowledge, but
Exactly.
What do you, as a non-British person, know about Queen Elizabeth II?
I mean, I knew that she ruled for 70 years. I knew that she was the longest reigning monarch and longest living, I think, right? 96?
Could be. I think the Thai king, the previous one got very
in
close.
Britain. In Britain.
Oh,
yeah.
sure, yes.
Yeah, I think the longest reigning monarch ever was Louis XV.
14th?
14th.
The Sun King.
Sun King, yes. Anyway, so only he beat her in terms of like the longest reign. I think he reigned for like 72 years. Yeah. But I know that she was, crowned on TV. I've seen the video of her coronation. It was black and white. She wore a very, 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 very long gown. And she was the queen.
The queen. Okay.
She waved like this.
Yeah, four children. You probably know that one.
Yeah, Anne, Charles,
corgis.
Andrew, and
Edward is the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing that's pretty cool, she loved horses as well as dogs and was an expert horse rider.
Wow.
When she was younger, instead of riding in a coach when there was parades, she would ride on her favorite horse.
Aww.
And there was one incident, I think it was in the 70s, during a parade, somebody fired a gun. It might have been a blank bullets gun.
And it scared the horse.
She controlled that horse. She did not fall off. The horse didn't panic.
Well
she
done.
kept control of that. So this is still, it's almost like a throwback to the days when kings and queens would lead armies in war.
Yeah.
She made sure the horse didn't panic and no one got hurt, no one got trampled on. So she was that good on a horse when she was younger.
Cool.
So there's
Very
a fun
cool.
fact for you.
Yeah. All right.
And according to a recent video, she keeps marmalade sandwiches in her handbag.
Yeah, and apparently she was very funny, is what I've heard. Yeah, she loved to make jokes, and with people who would interview her, she would make a lot of jokes. I remember that.
All right, there we go. That's some facts about Queen Elizabeth II. Okay, but that's all we've got time for. Thanks for watching today. For English for You, I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
God save the Queen.
Vocabulary Review.
Crown. Athelstan became the first king of England when he was crowned on September 4th, 925. Overseas. James wanted to learn more about the world, so he decided to move overseas for a few years. Guidance. Billy struggles to learn English by himself. To learn the language well, he needs guidance from a teacher. Following school, Mark started working in a factory where he soon became a manager. Costly. John drove his car into the side of a building by mistake, which resulted in many costly repairs. Switch. Edward used to wear glasses, but he switched to contact lenses last year. He looks very different now.
智慧小补帖
Monarch. Prime Minister. National Anthem. Despite.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net